Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nick Lawrence and I'm a two-time Ironman. If you watched yesterday's video, you'd know that I ran a 10K just yesterday and came in second place for my age group, which I was very happy with. My average pace was an 8 minute and 19 second pace, which is much better than I'd normally run and much faster than I'd normally run on like a training day. So uh, I'm pretty happy with that. And honestly, they probably are gonna mail me a plaque or something. But it was funny because I just kind of hopped into the race without much thought about it or planning at all, because my coaches want me to just get more race experience, build it up, and races allow you to, if you watched yesterday's video, push a little bit harder than you'd normally push in training, and you could end up getting like a really good max level workout from taking part in those races. That's not what I want to talk about today, but just wanted to share that with you. Today, since this is kind of like a top of mind podcast, that's kind of how I'm approaching these videos lately. I wanted to talk about recovery because the few days after putting out a max effort like I did yesterday, you're just not going to feel too good. And you should really be careful approaching your training following a race or a max effort like I did yesterday. And, make sure that you don't get injured. This is really the time where you would probably injure yourself or tend to feel maybe a little run down, a little sick, pretty achy and sore, all those classic symptoms. So I wanted to talk to you about how to continue to train while you're recovering so that, you actually continue to progress and benefit in your training. One thing that I was confused about when I first started, endurance training was the difference between active recovery and passive recovery. So both are extremely important when you're training, but I feel like when people think about recovery, or people who haven't been training for a very long time, they think of mostly passive recovery when you're, sleeping, eating, laying on the couch, making sure you're not doing too much activity so that you can, rebuild up your energy, naps, stuff like that. Where active recovery might even be doing the same activity that you wore yourself down with, but to a much lesser degree and for much less duration. Active mobility type stretching and movements, foam rolling, things like that. Today, I'm going to be spending another hour and 15 minutes on the bike, going super easy. Again, like today, after my effort yesterday, I'm like completely run down at that, and since I'm still fighting off like the issue on my back and taking antibiotics, like I have to be really careful not to throw myself into like a pattern of sickness here. So today, I'm pretty much going to be sitting on my bike over there, Zwift on, just keeping my power super low. My heart rate is probably going to stay between like 120 and 130, like really easy. Not even going to stress myself to listen to or watch anything super informative, because I like to, use that time where I'm just sitting there to either listen to like a podcast usually, or watch a video that might like teach me something new about business or training or whatever. But on a day like today, it's just going to be like I'm just putting time on the bike, I'm just moving, maybe working up a very light sweat and getting the legs warmed up. The next important thing to do, especially for me, because last training season I had a lot of lower back issues and a lot of sciatica issues. After I get good and warm on the bike, I'm going to set aside maybe like 20 to 30 minutes just to stretch and foam roll. Like, I really can't stress the importance of this, and if you've ever had any like back issues, knee issues, calf issues, and like they just progressively got worse and worse as you train, like they feel good after you get nice and warm, and then once you cool down, you're like 10 times worse, then, this is really something that you should be implementing into your training. Take the time. Like, it feels like such a drag to, sit on the floor, like, just stretch, not doing anything, not reading, not flipping around on your phone. Like, just sit there, stretch, take your time, maybe sip on water or some like electrolyte type drink or some amino drink, and just chill. Maybe have some music on in the background and just let yourself go deeply into these stretches. Let yourself foam roll totally, where you're really massaging out any tightness or knots in your legs, even your back. Really put a focus on that portion of active recovery. And then, third, you have to be eating enough. You have to be eating enough protein. You have to be eating enough carbs. You need enough fat. A lot of people, I'm not going to hop into a diet camp here, because this is where people start to go crazy. But I'm a huge believer in, you need to pay attention to your calories in versus your calories out. So knowing your approximate base metabolic rate, knowing how much you're burning in your activity, and then make sure that you're getting enough food in you to properly recover. Like, there's a lot of people out there who will undereat to develop a certain body composition, usually, to get skinnier. In this world of triathlon and running and cycling, everybody wants to be like skinny. But if you're also trying to build muscle or keep the muscle that you have, you need to be fueling properly. And a lot of people don't notice this, or don't know this until they get into like a really low slump, that time that you're continuously losing weight. Oftentimes you're not just losing fat, you're also losing some muscle. And it'll show after like a certain amount of time. And if that's the body type you want, then fine. But it's going to affect your energy levels, your mood levels, and your performance. So if you're looking to perform and not looking for just strict aesthetic, you need to be eating enough. I'm not going to waste too much time, or maybe I should just completely unload what I look for. So I'll unload. In preparing or in tracking my meals, the only thing that I really care about the only things I care about are my calories that I'm taking in and burning out. I typically try to maintain, I'll go a little bit under if I'm starting to notice the scale creep up, but like, in no way is it like overly scientific, where if I'll allow days of variability in my weight, because you're not going to be the same every day. I'll allow trend to develop before I start making any corrections, but I'm looking at my calories. I'm looking at my protein as like the staple to my diet. For me, since I'm approximately 165 pounds right now, I'll aim for 165 grams of protein per day. So if you're a kilogram person, that's 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram. Now, in most literature, you'll see the numbers 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram, which will translate to, on the high end, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I like this, and it's worked well for me. If you're somebody who may be like not in your ideal form, like obviously I have like a little bit of fat, here and there, like not a lot. I'm probably a pretty low percentage body fat relatively. But if you're a heavier person and you would like to lose weight, let's say, I'll often recommend that those people have a gram of protein per pound of body weight that their goal weight is. So if you're, say, 200 pounds and you want to be 170, I would stick to that 170. This way you're not forcing yourself to eat too much to get to that 200 grams, and you're not adding additional calories that you might not need. So you're leaning more towards the low end while still getting enough protein to like actually rebuild like you should be. Another thing, people don't realize how important carbs are. Like if you're doing an Ironman training block or any type of like endurance, running, like cycling, swimming, whatever, and you're training regularly like 5 to 6 days a week, you need to be getting enough energy back in your body. So whether it's carbs or a combination of carbs and fat, you need that, and you need your electrolytes to be like refueling so that you can actually recover properly. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to dump too much in one video. Like honestly, the content related to diet and nutrition when talking about endurance training and Ironman training could probably be like a series of 10 videos, but take that away with you. And just to summarize everything that we've talked about so far, like don't go too hard the days after like a race or like a really hard effort. Like you really want to be focused on recovery. Recovery doesn't just mean one thing. There's active and passive recovery. Now, I covered a lot of things in active recovery, and I gave a bunch of examples before in passive recovery. But just because I focused more on the active recovery today, you shouldn't be neglecting that passive recovery either. Like sometimes your body needs the extra sleep. Sometimes your body needs to spend time just resting on the couch. A combination or a good combination of active and passive recovery is really what you need. Most of your recovering is going to happen while you're sleeping. You shouldn't oversleep, but I think if you're the type of person to be getting after it like this, you probably don't have a tendency to oversleep. And whether you're sleeping more or you're just more relaxed in general, like I always thought it was funny growing up and being in sports, because there's like the stereotypical person on a sports team that seemingly doesn't care, doesn't take things too seriously, and that person also tends to be really good in the sport. And I think that whether it's like an outlier or not doesn't matter, but there is something to be said about keeping relaxed, allowing yourself to be recovered, allowing yourself to like take it easy and not put too much pressure on yourself so that you can perform properly. That goes a long way. So hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of the different formats. I've been trying to do a few different things and get a little bit better with speaking in a linear path so that you can actually get some value from these videos. Hopefully I'm succeeding in my mission there. If not, let me know what you think I could improve on. I'd be happy to take your suggestions and just like really work this out so that this channel could start growing or being good enough to actually be worthy of growth. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you lasted this long, and have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.